in life and in business. I am just trying to get myself together on this blab, and I'm seeing, or at least it looks like, there are several people sitting here. I'm not sure about that, but I wanted to talk about paying attention to your internal conversations for life and business transformation. For anyone who is sitting here right now, I welcome you and I thank you for spending this time with me. I have no idea how long this conversation is going to go. It's going to go as long as you want it to, because I'm hearing that blab just keeps going and going and going. As a matter of fact, I was on a blab last night that ended up going from one conversation to the next, and it was absolutely phenomenal. So I had such a great time that it inspired me to just jump on out here. I said, wait a minute, I have something I want to talk about. I want to talk about paying attention to our internal conversations for life and business transformation. And I want to make sure that everybody knows, please, please, please interact, because the longer we interact, or with your interaction, that's how we're going to be able to learn from each other and share each other's experiences and all of that great stuff. As you jump out into what they call the hot seat, but I call it the love seat, because it's all love here on, it's all love. So jump into the seat. Hey, Alicia, I see you're here. Wait a minute. That's my girl, Alicia. I don't know if I let you in or what the heck I did. I think you have to, hey, girl, I see you. You're online. Can you hear me, Alicia? I can't hear you. I don't know why, but I cannot hear you. You can hear me though, right? Can anybody hear me? Can you just go over into the messages side and let me know that you hear me talking? Because if not, I'm going to have to go get some earbuds so that we can actually chit chat. So if anybody's sitting here who dares to go over into the chat, it's not a big deal. Just let me know that you can hear me or not. Can you hear me, Alicia? She doesn't seem like she can hear me, so I don't know if anybody can right now. So let me go and wait a minute. I'm gonna get on the phone with you because I don't know if anybody can hear me. Here, let me do that real quick. Let me do that. This is technology, guys. This is technology. We are live, and I don't know if you can hear me because I can't hear you. Okay, you can't hear anything? Okay, so hold on. Hold on. Maybe it's from my side. Okay, can you hear me now? Because I can hear you.
Yay.
Yay! All right. I pressed a button. I pressed the speaker, which was already at 100%, but for some reason I wasn't hearing. So I am so excited that you can hear me and I can hear you. And we're going to be talking about paying attention to your internal conversations for life and business transformation. And I wanted to start, first of all, we have probably heard this over and over and over again, paying attention to our thoughts. We're hearing a lot about law of attraction and paying attention to our thoughts and being able to, and if you haven't heard these things, you'll definitely hear it from me, paying attention to our thoughts and having the ability to zoom in on a thought and make changes to a thought that no longer serves where we're trying to go or what we're trying to do. So it's not that we haven't heard this information before, but just fairly recently, I was listening to a gentleman by the name of Neville Goddard on YouTube, and he was talking about paying attention to our internal conversations. So it was just put in a little bit of a different way that I was able to hear what he was saying in a different way than what I had been hearing previously. So I guess my psyche or my subconscious needed to hear a fresh take on, on the same information. But when I heard it put in this way, paying attention to our internal conversations, it just re-excited what I was already doing. And what he was talking about was the fact that this young lady, she, I guess he was coaching her. And he was talking about the fact that this young lady was experiencing some negativity in her workplace. And she perceived that, she was doing all this great work and that her boss was taking credit for all of the great work that she was doing. And he decided, he said, wait a minute, I think what's going on here is the fact that she has this going on inside of her mind, and she's carrying on negative conversations inside of her mind regarding her boss, and it's being reflected back to her in her boss's behaviors. So when he asked the young lady, is this true? What types of conversations are you having inside of your own mind regarding your relationship with your boss? And she said, I'm having negative conversations inside of my mind. And he said, okay, well, if you change that, you'll see that your relationship with your boss is going to change. And so she began to shift the conversation that she was having inside of her mind, and instantaneously she goes back to work and her boss starts responding to her in a more positive manner because she shifted her own internal conversation that she was having with her boss. So I said, wait a minute, this makes perfect sense to me. It makes absolutely perfect sense to me, because whatever we're noticing with someone else, we're actually noticing with ourselves first, and it's being reflected back through that person. We're looking at the person in, we call it judgment. We're looking at them and we're making certain judgments about what's going on with them. But actually the judgment came from us first. Whatever the thoughts that we're thinking regarding that person came from us first, and we're actually reflecting it back to that person. So it made perfect sense to me to stop and pay attention to some of my own internal conversations. And I'm telling you guys, immediately as I began to pay attention to my internal conversations, I began to see shifts in certain relationships that I didn't have to go to that person directly and say, look, this, that, or the other. When I started to change my own internal conversation, I started to notice shifts and changes with those people that I was carrying on conversations inside of my own mind. I started to see a shift and a change in the way those people were responding to me. So I said, I have to get out here and share this because actually I want to share a story about how I actually experienced this years ago. And I've continued to experience this over the years in terms of the conversation that I have inside of myself, causing, whatever emotions and feelings that are going on the inside of myself. If I bring my awareness to the feelings that I'm having on the inside, and I make a decision that I don't like how I'm feeling regarding this particular situation, I know that I can change how I'm feeling. I can change my thoughts and therefore shift the course of a chain of events. And the reason I know that is because of a story I'm about to share with you. And Alicia, you've heard this before, where I talk about some years ago, I call that my strengths or weaknesses of myself personified. I would see things that I may not like about myself act out in real life with children and their behavior. Yes, absolutely, Alicia. Absolutely. And one of the stories I wanted to share, and I said, Alicia, you've heard me say this before, because you and I, this is my mastermind partner, Alicia Dennis, who has also become my sister from another mister. So I just want to say, hey, and please feel free to jump in. But years ago, I was working for one of the largest healthcare systems here in Southeast New Jersey, where I live. And this was years ago, fresh out of high school. I was working in the medical records department. And so working in the medical records department, had been working there for several years, learned everything that could be learned in this department. And I started to get bored out of my mind. I couldn't take it anymore. I was ready to move on. I was ready to change. I was ready to see a shift. I was ready to see a change. But at that time, I had no idea about, law of attraction. I had, hello, that's Dr. Is it Metris B? Hello, thank you for joining. But I had no idea about the law of attraction. I had no idea about these things that I know about now. But all I knew at that time was I was ready to go. I was ready to move on. I was bored. I couldn't take it anymore. And I began to actually see myself with a box in my hand walking out of the door of that department. I began to see this on a regular basis, to the point where I could feel within myself walking out the door. So my mind went from being sick and tired, being bored, to actually seeing myself walking out the door. Well, some time went by. I don't know how long, but it wasn't that long. It was a length of time before I began to feel the frustration that I was feeling, and then a little bit of time in between when I began to, shift and think about things differently. But I would see myself walking out the door. And then one day, guys, this is how I know that our internal conversation, which turns into images and things that are going on inside of our minds, work and actually shift and cause us to change, or causes a change in our life. One day, my mother, who also worked for the same healthcare organization, she comes up to me and she says that the director of the education department wanted to have a meeting with me because she wanted me to come and teach something called process improvement to the various disciplines within the hospital. Now, I'm in the medical records department, y'all. I'm in the medical records department, filing, doing my thing. I had been there for 3 years. But in the midst of all of this, I was involved in a process improvement project team, where it turns out that the 3M Corporation, and this is the chain of events, and I won't drag this on too long, but just to say that a chain of events was happening behind the scenes that I could not have imagined would be working hand in hand with me seeing myself walking out the door with this box in my hand. So, my mother, the director of the education department says to my mother, I want this young lady to come and teach for the education department. So in the meantime, this chain of events had occurred. I was involved in a project team. The 3M Corporation came and did this series of educational videos that I was asked to be on this particular video. And it turns out that this video was being shown on a monthly basis in the education department, and I was not aware of this at all. So at the same time that I'm envisioning myself walking out the door with my box and didn't know where I was going, the director of education came and recruited me from out of the medical records department, and I became an educator for one of the largest healthcare systems here in Southeast New Jersey, teaching process improvement to all of the various disciplines of the hospital, the doctors, the nurses, because the senior leadership wanted everybody to know process improvement, all without a degree, guys, without a degree in education, okay? Without a degree. So I just wanted to share that story as one of the stories I'll share in terms of how when we start to pay attention to our internal conversations, and that wasn't, in my mind, that wasn't a conversation. That was actually some images going on but that's a conversation. When you start to see yourself doing something different than what you are currently doing, yes, you're having a conversation inside of your mind. I began to see myself walking out of the medical records department with the box in my hand, had no idea where I was going, and a series of events. What is that saying that his name is, the author, I think his name is Paulo Coelho, who talks about the universe conspiring. When we make a decision, the universe rises up and conspires to assist us, in whatever it is we endeavor to do. So this is why paying attention to our internal conversation is so important, because yes, the universe conspires, whether we're offering positive thoughts, negative thoughts. The universe is not judging whether or not the seed you're planting is positive or negative. It's just going to rise up and cause a gravitational pull or a magnetic pull toward whatever you are saying. So my point, guys, is the next thing you know, I was no longer in a medical records department. I was standing in front of people teaching process improvement. I had no idea that was going to happen. No idea. But what I did know was that I was walking out the door of the medical records department with a box in my hand. That I knew. So I didn't know all the other details, but I did know that I was leaving. So I just wanted to share that, because I have had so many of these types of events that have occurred in my life where, the feeling that I had on the inside of me prompted me to pay attention to, okay, why am I feeling this way? If I'm feeling a negative or a feeling inside of myself, I have the ability to stop and pay attention. And let me go over here and look at everybody's comments. Oh, yeah, doctor says, hey, I've been in that space. Thank you, Alicia, for the big ups. And Alicia saying one has to decide to change or do something for the universe to conspire. Yes. We have to make a decision. And what I'm realizing is that we're making these decisions all the time, every day, all day. We're making these decisions. And let me just drop a statistic on you guys that I got from Dr. Joseph Dispenza, who is a neuroscientist who was included in the book, The Secret. He's a neuroscientist and also a chiropractor who healed himself of a spinal injury without surgery. One of the statistics that he talks about that I state over and over again, because sometimes just by virtue of knowing certain statistics, it drops it's like a light bulb moment, which is what I experienced when I heard this statistic. He said that human beings process on a daily basis 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And out of those 60 to 70,000 thoughts that we're processing every single day, 90% of the thoughts that we think the next day are exactly the same thoughts that we were thinking the day before. Let me say that again. Human beings process 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. And 90% of what we're thinking every single day is the same exact thoughts that we were thinking the day before. I think that is absolutely phenomenal, because if we think about the implications of thinking the same exact thoughts as we thought the day before, then first of all, we understand that there's an opportunity to really think about, first of all, am I repeating the same exact actions and thoughts every single day? Am I repeating the exact same thoughts and actions as the day before, just out of familiarity. Just because we're familiar with what it was that we were thinking the day before, which obviously, scientifically speaking, is the case. And we're continuing every single day to think these thoughts, but is that my current reality, or is it Memorex, guys? That's what I was asking, just this morning. I'm like, wait a minute. Is what I'm thinking right now my current reality? Would I actually want to be thinking? Would I actually want to have my current reality be? Or am I just playing something over and over and over again that I was thinking the day before? And this is why it's so important for us to pay attention to our thought. Yes, and Doctor says, yes, so true. And let me just read. I like to stop for a minute and just read what people are saying. One has to decide to change. Yes, Alicia said that. It's just that simple. Make a decision. Yeah, that's a game changer, Alicia. It is, because we really have to stop and think about what is our internal conversation in order to assess whether or not, what we're currently thinking is what we want to be thinking, or is it a recording from the day before. So this is absolutely incredible information, guys, that we have the opportunity now to be consciously aware of. What am I thinking? Is this my current reality? And the way that I process that, or some of the way that I process that information, is through feeling. And I do that through meditation. I actually, on a fairly regular basis, I'm not going to say every single day, but almost every single day, I do meditate. And what that does is it quiets down the external sensory information that we're getting on a regular basis every day, all day. It quiets that down so that we can actually become consciously aware of ourselves and what we're feeling and what we're thinking. And at that time, that we're paying attention to our feelings and paying attention to, the vibration that's going on inside of us, whether it's positive or negative, we can at that time decide or make certain conscious decisions about how to shift out of that and how to make changes in the direction that we desire to go. So I want to stop for a minute. And Alicia, I know you're walking. If you can hear me, or if anybody else, there's a third seat open right now. I just want to stop real quick because I said in the beginning, or if I didn't say it, I would like for this to be an interactive conversation that we're having that could potentially move on to something else, talking about paying attention to our internal conversations and how that can transform our lives and our businesses. And I just want to open up the seat and see if anybody has anything to say, anything to share, any comments in the panel. This is an informal environment, guys. You don't have to be scared to jump out. My girl Alicia's here. I don't know if she's in a place to talk, but I definitely want to hear some comments if you have them, Alicia. And if anybody else wants to jump in the open seat and tell me what your thoughts are or your experiences regarding paying attention to your internal conversation, I just want to open up the opportunity for you to do that if you want to. And guys, I'm talking about not only in our, because Alicia stepped off for a minute, but in our lives and in our businesses. In our lives and in our businesses. This isn't just a one-sided, it only works over here. We're talking about internal conversations that are happening in our minds every day, all day, with the statistic that I just provided from Dr. Joseph Dispenza, that human beings process 60 to 70,000 thoughts in a day. And out of those 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, 90% of what we're thinking on a daily basis are the exact same thoughts as the day before. Does anybody have any comments about that? Anything that you want to share so far related to this topic? I'm just going to pause for just a sec. And Dr. I'm sorry, is it Dr. Nay Matrix B or Na Metris B. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but I just wanted to see if you wanted to jump out at all. If you have any comments, all you have to do is press the call in button, I think is on your side. I see where it says open seat over here. But if you have any comments, please feel free to jump out and share. If not, I'm going to continue to talk about how just paying attention to my own internal conversations. And I'll give you an example on the business side. I gave you an example in my personal life, which was also business as well. But on the business side, guys, as a coach, I am a life and business coach for online womenpreneurs, assisting them to gain clarity in their life and their business. And I assist also for the online womanpreneur to pay attention and make sure that her thoughts are aligned with her desired outcomes and her actions. And I love the fact that I do this because on another blab, I was sharing that when I chose the profession that I am currently doing, I was what I considered to be a little selfish in choosing it because part of the reason that I chose to do what I do is because it keeps me in a space of paying attention to my own internal conversation, to what's going on with me so that I can better assist or continue to assist people with what's going on with them, both in terms of thought process and alignment, and perhaps what's going on with you online and what you're doing in your business. So I say selfish in choosing that because, like I said, it continues to be my why. When I found out myself that I had the power to zoom in on a thought and pay attention to a particular thought and decide whether or not that thought served me in my current reality and where I was trying to go. When I realized I had the power, and I'm going to let you back in, Mama Alicia. When I realized that I had the power to, just as much as I had awareness about that thought, I understood at that time that I could shift that thought and therefore shift the course of my reality from what it was to what I desired it to be. And the same is true in business. And what I was doing at one point, and I say I don't know why I struggled with this a little bit, but this is what happens when you're online. When you're online and you're receiving all of this external information coming at you because you're choosing it, you're choosing to look, and you're online and you see what's going on. I'll use coaching as an example. I was paying attention to a lot of different coaches and their persona and what was going on with them in the online space. And what I noticed was a lot of coaches considered themselves to be a coach / author / speaker / and so I mean, hey, it was / right? And little old me, I had determined this one specific area. So when I start seeing all the / this and / that and / that, even though I was these things, I didn't know if I wanted to put that out there. I didn't know if that was the direction that I wanted to go. But because I saw everybody else doing it, and I took that information in, I began to have a little bit of a struggle with whether or not to consider myself a speaker. Now, guys, mind you, I had already come from a background of speaking, so it didn't matter whether I considered myself that or not. It just was this is who I am, So all these titles that you put down on a piece of paper really don't matter all that much in the grand scheme of things, except that you're marketing and advertising. But I struggled a little bit over this, and I'm like, am I going to put /speaker, next to my name? And I struggled with that. And so in, going down this path of trying to understand if this is something I wanted to do, I took a couple of people's advice and they said, okay, well, join a speakers, join this association and join that. so that you can consider yourself a speaker. So I started trying to do that. And no sooner than I started to try and do that, I began to feel this agitation on the inside of me, guys. I started feeling agitated. And again, I told you that I become aware of what's going on with me by feeling my way through it. So I sense this agitation, and I'm like, okay, Lisa, what's going on? Why are you feeling agitated? And no sooner than I recognized the feeling, did I realize that I was deciding to go down a path and get involved with things that had nothing to do with my original intent. You know, what it is that I say that I do, the focus that I had, that type of thing. So this is why I was feeling agitated. And on top of that, I don't necessarily believe that I have to be given permission by anybody to believe, you know, to say that I am this, that, or the other. So that was my agitation, y'all. That was my agitation. So anyway, when I realized that this is what I was going through, no sooner than I began to focus in on what was actually happening, then I was exposed to one of my internet marketing mentors who was utilizing a platform called SoundCloud. Well, SoundCloud is an audio platform where you can record yourself, and it gives you a shareable link that you can share with your audience. Now, I didn't know anything about this platform. I saw my internet marketing mentor using this platform. I said, oh my goodness, this looks awesome. I went over, I started playing with the platform, and I realized that at the time that I'm inspired to share information, I call it information, inspiration, or revelation. Right at the time that I'm inspired to do so, I can jump on this platform, get a shareable link after I upload a recording, and share it with the world, guys. Now, at the time, I'm not thinking about with the world. I'm thinking I can just share it in my groups. I can share it with them. Well, over time, as I looked in the back office of this this platform, it turns out that people from all over the world are looking at my information from all over the world, guys. And not because I share this story all the time, because I want people to understand that whatever you decide that you are is who you are. So you don't have to look for permission from anybody else to deem you something one way or the other. But as soon as you open your mind to that understanding, here comes an opportunity that presents itself to you so that you can prove that it's the universe conspiring, so that you can have that confirmation that what it is you say you are is what you are at the time that you say it. And so now, if you decide that you want to go and look at my stuff on SoundCloud, which I believe it's, well, anyway, I'll share that link at some point. But I have people from all over the world listening to my information, and I didn't need to wait for permission from someone else. What had to happen within me was I had to change the internal conversation of who I thought I was. I had to stop doubting. I had to, you know, stop paying more attention to what everybody else was doing, change my internal conversation, and then it changed the course of you know, the series of the chain of events that would occur after that. So just another story that I wanted to share with you guys regarding our internal conversation, and the fact that our internal conversations, we are creating reality as a result of the conversations that we're having in our own minds. So it's just another example I want to share with you guys. And again, this blab is only going to go as long as you guys participate, ask questions, have comments. So if at this time anybody has anything to say, share, I invite you to do that. because this is important, guys. This is a extremely important conversation that we're having, because this is what we're doing every day, all day, is having internal conversations with ourselves. Remember, we're processing 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Those thoughts are internal conversations that we're having that are providing us images that because with every thought we're associating an image with that thought, if you didn't know that. Every single thought, we're associating an image, a feeling, a vibration with that thought. And that is how reality is being created, because we have that much power as human beings. So I continue to share that information because it's absolutely phenomenal how powerful we are, and how no sooner than we change a thought can we shift our reality. So I just provided 2 examples of that to you guys that I'm experiencing in my own life. And I just wanted to open up the lines again to see if anybody wants to jump in the love seat and share your experiences or your thoughts. And I'm just going to read what Alicia's sharing. Thank you so much for participating as much as you are, Alicia. Oh, Alicia's saying she doesn't know how I believe that, here, wait a minute, Alicia, you might have to refresh. No, I see you moving. You're in the hot seat or the love seat. Just go ahead and talk, and let me see if I can hear you, Alicia. Can you hear me, Alicia? You might have to refresh or go out and come back in, because I see you sitting there, but it doesn't appear that you can hear me. So if you can go out and come back in to the seat, I would love to hear what you have to say about this topic, because we talk about this type of thing all the time, me and my mastermind partner, Miss Alicia Douglas. So I just wanted to see what she has to say. Oh, I'm going to let you back in. And we're just going to keep this thing moving. Alicia, I see you. Can you hear me? I'm just going to give you some props just for being here. I love this platform. I love Blab. And here, let me click the volume again, because that worked before. So let me see if it'll work again. Can you hear me, Alicia? I'm not sure what's happening with the audio. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm not sure what's happening. So everybody, we're talking about paying attention to your internal conversations for life and business. And Alicia's getting ready to get in front of her computer so we can see if this makes a difference. And just 1 minute, guys.
Okay, I can hear you now.
I love this Blab platform.
Can you hear
guys.
me?
This is absolutely. I can hear you.
I was looking for my webcam. What I want to say.
All right.
This is apropos.
I can hear you.
Is this a time I can speak? Oh, okay. What I want to share is what other people think or they say
go ahead.
about your vision of yourself, your idea about who you are and what you have to offer. It's none of their business, and it has nothing to do with anything. And as mothers in business, especially online, you have to be abundantly clear on who you are. And I know you're the clarity expert, but you really need to understand who you are and remain clear, because when it starts to get murky and the lines get blurred, that's when you have trouble. So this
Exactly.
tendency for many of us,
Oh yeah.
it's not just you, Lisa,
Oh yeah.
a lot of folks, you know, from birth we're compared, right, with our percentile, like how tall we are or how wide we are, or, you know, when it comes to grades, there's like all these things. So by the time you get to a place where you become an entrepreneur, you decide to become an entrepreneur, you've got all these bad habits, or these, I'm not going to say bad, acquired behaviors that really have nothing to do with your focus or your purpose for being here.
Yeah.
So anyway, you and I were talking earlier before the blab this morning. We were just talking about how these images or these ideas that other people seem to have about who we need to be individually, how we need to function, what kind of work we need to do. We need to be doing something, even if it doesn't resonate with us. And that's why you don't find the success, or you don't find the fulfillment, because you're doing stuff. You're filling your day with stuff. And these thoughts that you mentioned about Dr. Is it Dispenza, you know, that's fascinating that 90% of what we thought about yesterday
Joseph
are the things we're thinking
Dispenza
about today. And I'm going to really be a little more focused and more aware and conscious about my thoughts, because you're right. You know, as soon as you make a change or you decide, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, the universe does conspire to help you achieve whatever that is, but you have to make a decision. So that's all I wanted to say, but this is great. I love the conversation. I love this format. It's awesome.
Absolutely excellent. And I love, you know, back to our conversation that we were having earlier, you know, I found that, and we were talking about this, that whenever I start to feel like, because you're online and you're being inundated with so much information, that the process of taking in that information is extremely gradual. It's almost undetectable that you're not realizing that you may have taken in, and it's not that we don't want to take in new information, but we want to be consciously aware of, you know, the information that we're taking in and the why, you know, what is it that we're looking for, or else we are very slowly, and you know, we're just very slowly taking in this information, and the next thing you know, you take a piece from here, and you take a piece from there, and you take a piece from here, and you take a piece from there, and the next thing you know, you don't exist anymore. You are completely non-existent, because you have piecemealed yourself, you know, based on what this one said. Oh, I'll take a little bit of this and I'll take a little bit of that. If ever I start to feel that way, first of all, I'm so grateful for the fact that I start to detect it. I begin to detect that this is happening, because it's just a feeling that comes over me, that I begin to understand that something is not right. You know, I might not necessarily have the words to assign to what that feeling is at that moment, but I'm always given that information. And this is why I'm, you know, I don't advocate for one thing in particular, because everybody has, you know, what it is that works for you. For me, meditation works for me because it does quiet everything that's going on from outside of you, so that you can begin to hear from yourself, and so that you can recenter and refocus what it is that you're looking to understand. And So when I bring myself back and I begin to understand what my original intent is, I love that phrase. What is your original intent? And really paying attention to, whether you articulated that with yourself clearly. that is absolutely one of the most key things that we need to do as online womenpreneurs, as business owners, is clearly articulating to ourselves first, what is it that I do? And what is it that I'm here to do? What is my purpose? What is my why? And when we get clear with that, because we need to be clear with that, you can feel the deviation. You can feel when you get off track. It might take a little bit of time, but it actually starts getting quicker and quicker that you notice, yourself getting a little bit off track. And then you can assess, okay, what's going on? What is happening here? And you can bring yourself back on track. But it's just, I love what you shared, Alicia, because absolutely we must pay attention. Absolutely. And my original intent was that I have to quiet, if I'm involved in various and different things online and the various things we can get involved with, we can get involved with groups and masterminds and this and that and the other. I find that I have to shut all that down sometimes. I have to shut it down because I need to hear what, quote unquote, thus saith Lisa. What am I saying? What do I think? What do I feel? What do I believe? Because frankly, if I'm doing anything other than that, and if I'm functioning in a mode in any way, shape, or form other than that, then you are not getting Lisa. You're getting, something else. You're getting, bits and pieces of what came from here and what came from there and what came, you're not getting Lisa, and that's not, the essence of your business is that your business is an extension of yourself, or at least for me it is. It might not be that way for everyone, but for me, my business is an extension of me. My business is an extension of the things that I am processing and learning over time. And I have the ability to share that with you because, of my experiences and, to make sure that you don't have to take that long. You don't have to take that long. I already did that. If you desire, you want to do that, then by all means, because we all need to experience certain things, but you don't have to do that. But, I love it when I get that understanding from within myself that, okay, Lisa, you have to stop and pay attention to your conversation that you're having on the inside, because you perhaps deviated from, what your original intent was, and it's time to come on back and pay attention to your internal conversation and get yourself back on track. So it's absolutely, it's phenomenal that we have this power. It's phenomenal that we have this ability to really not take for granted these conversations that we're having with ourselves on a regular basis and bring ourselves back to whatever place we need to be in. Number one, so that we can feel good. Number two, so that we can move confidently forward, with momentum and assurity, because we have put ourselves back on track because we're paying attention. So, it's just incredible. It's just incredible. And this is why I wanted to, do this blab, because it's of utmost importance. Alicia, you and I can attest to the fact that, if we're at a fork in a road, you make a left, you're going in that direction. You're going in the direction of the left turn. They're different. If you make a right, you're going in the direction of the right turn. They're not the same location. They're not the same location. So we must pay attention, because one little turn will have you going way down there somewhere. And who knows how long it's going to take for you to get
I
back
wanted
to the
so a
space of
lot of the
your
things that
original
you just
intent,
said in this
you know?
last segment,
So,
really, I wanted to bring it back to the title of this blab, paying attention to your internal conversations for life business transformation. Because when you're paying attention to what's innate, like what's within you, that's tuning into your authenticity, which is what you essentially said. People have different ways of going back, and I wanted to interject in the conversation. You know, in terms of business, our unique selling proposition, or what makes us different, is what attracts people to us. But when we allow ourselves to blur the lines and grab a little bit of here and grab a little bit there and grab a little, you're right. We, you know, someone, I'm not going to take that on for myself, but you begin to, how can I say this a really nice way? The way I've said it all these years, you dilute your brand, you dilute who you are. And it's really critical because
there it is.
there's enough
Yes.
out here for everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's searching for that voice. And so it could be you, it could be me, it could be the doctor that was on here, the gentleman or the other individuals who participate, or wherever. There's someone tuned in to a particular voice. So that's why when you're given a vision, it is extremely important to see it through, because you have no idea what lives or what things are going to transpire. You know, we just passed Christmas, and there's, you know, the Christmas Story and Scrooge, and there's so many iterations of that storyline, but it's so true. Even It's a Wonderful Life. You know, if he had not been born, there's that basically that whole town would have been nothing. So we just have to be, you know, every time I get into a forum, I really want to share with people, when you have that idea, it is your job. You are empowered, but it's incumbent upon you to see it through. And that authenticity of who you are is what's the sweet spot. You know, I can't tell you what the panacea is going to be to see it get through, but I know if you stay true to who you are, in that idea, that dream, that gift, whatever, you know, I call them, you know, dreams are children as well. You got to see it through. So anyway.
Oh man, Alicia, I love that. You know, just remaining authentically true to yourself, and that is your brand. You know, this is the work that I do. This is the work that I do, is assisting people to come to that place of understanding who they are in the space of, you know, their business, and understanding what their voice is.
Lots of
and
it.
that is because of the work that I have had to do on myself and with myself. This is not something that we pick up one day and put it down the next day. This is not. This is a continuation on a regular basis of paying attention to ourselves, paying attention to our voice, paying attention to, you know, every time I go to put something out on Facebook, a Facebook post or a video or something like that, first and foremost is that organic and innate connection to myself, so that I can deliver authentically who Lisa is. And, you know, back to SoundCloud, one of my examples of understanding that early on, of understanding that I desired this early on, is because my very first recording on SoundCloud was very mechanical. It was very mechanical. When I played back my very first recording, I said to myself, who is that?
Oh, gotcha.
You know, I brought this corporate, you know, because I came from a corporate background. I brought a cookie cutter, you know, stay within these lines type of mentality into the online space. And I learned very quickly, no, no. One of the things that separates me or makes me distinct in the online space is my delivery, is my authenticity,
Right.
is my voice, is the way that I giggle when I talk every once in a while, or, you know, the fact that I smile a lot when I'm talking, or I move my hands, or I, you know, however I express myself, you know, and this is part of what people are learning to get over, is that perceived judgment. And that is the internal conversation a lot of people are having, is
So
that
what?
I you know, I'm scared to be authentically myself because I may get judged. You know, the quote unquote real me may receive some judgment, you know, but you know, over time people have to learn or grow into you know, that space. You know, you for me, I did not want to, and I could not be in a space where I was being anything other than myself. I wasn't comfortable there. So, you know, the feeling that I had on the inside was an uncomfortable feeling of trying to deliver something that was this corporate, you know, cloney type, you know, delivery. Fortunately, it only took one time for me to hear the playback. And it wasn't something that I had delivered, you know, to the online space. And fortunately, I was able to, you know, hear that and say, you know, no, let me change this up. But, you know, we grow, we learn and we grow, and we learn, you know, let yourself be, you know, you are authentically yourself and you're here for a reason, just like you said, Alicia. And I love how you said it. I can't say it any better, that you are your brand. And so that's what it is. You are your brand, and let it be, because your voice and your audience your voice is meant for your audience. The people that are meant for you to be your client, to be in your
Right.
tribe, all of that are gravitating toward
Well,
you.
I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I want to share something,
so,
and then I'm gonna have
you know,
to run. But
I love it.
I learned this morning that a classmate of mine from Spelman College passed away yesterday of cancer. So, honestly, I think it came back.
I'm sorry to hear.
And so, you know, regardless of people's spiritual beliefs, if she's no longer fighting, she's probably in a better place. But I had an epiphany this morning. You know how we go through our things, not necessarily thinking life is so bad, but not even necessarily woe is me, but not really understanding who we are and the chances that we get. This person did not wake up this morning, but I did. And there are lots of things that I have been, just like I was just saying, you know, I was preaching to myself. There have been so many gifts of ideas, dreams, children, whatever anyone wants to call them, that I've been given. And I decided this morning, I was like, you know, there are a couple of things that I must do, and I'm dedicating one of them to her. But if she didn't wake up and I did, there's no excuse. Doesn't matter if you don't have the money, or you don't have the influence, or you don't know how. As long as you have breath, and as long as you understand who you are, and you have another chance to be your authentic self and to offer the world whatever it is you were supposed to offer in the first place.
Exactly.
So no, that's all I was going to share.
Clap,
I was
clap,
just
clap,
going to say,
clap, 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 clap.
I thought
And
about it, I was like, this woman
go
is
ahead,
gone.
go ahead.
I remember passing the halls with her at Spelman, and I didn't know her very well, but she was a delightful woman.
Mm-hmm.
And her last job, she was at the Carter Center. So she did wonderful things, but she doesn't have a chance, but I do. And I would share that with anyone. You got up this morning, so there really is no excuse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to add to that because I'm thinking about it as I'm looking at you and I'm hearing, your message and what you're sharing and how you're sharing. It always brings me back to how grateful I am to be around people like you. And this is another thing that I wanted to share with this audience and anybody else who's going to listen to this, because I'm saying hi to anybody who's going to be listening to the replay, because I'm sharing this all over the place. But it is so important for us to surround ourselves with people that share, the positive vibration,
Right.
or, the direct. We don't have to have the exact same thoughts, and we don't have to agree on. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. We don't even have to agree on every single thing that that there is to talk about and have an agreement on or a disagreement on. But that positive, when you're vibrating with someone in a positive space that supports and uplifts where you're headed. And, this is how we became, sisters of other misters, because, of that positive vibration that we both carry, regardless of, you're doing what you're doing, I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's not the point that we're doing the same thing, but the point is that our vibration supports and uplifts one another. And so it's absolutely, it's important to our internal conversations, because if I pick up the phone and I call someone whose vibration is different,
who doesn't
care. Yeah. I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice, but off is a good word. Off is a good word.
Can't do it with everybody.
And I begin to say, for instance, share my dream with that person, and they start to tell me, you can't tell everybody, and they start to tell me, that doesn't make any sense, or you're not going to be able to do that, or da 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 da. Exactly. That impacts. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how strong you try to act. It can begin to go inside and affect you internally, if you allow it to. If you're not strong in your internal conversation, it can impact you. And this is why it's so important, for us to, rally around ourselves. As I said, everybody doesn't have to be doing the same exact thing or agree on all the topics and all of this, but that positive, uplifting vibration that supports the fact that you do have a dream and believes and has that positive vibration is so important, because it assists you in your internal conversation as well. Every time we hang up the phone, I'm sitting there like, yeah.
Oh my God. I don't even want to talk to that person again.
I'm not going through any isms and schisms over.
If you have one, because this thought came into my head, and it's something Napoleon Hill said, and I had to go in and find it and send it to someone recently. But what I said to them is, when a thought or an idea is conceived, that it is almost stillborn.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you have to give it life and focus on it, or give it positive energy, continue to think about how you're going to work it out. But that's when it's its most critical state, is when it's born. Just like when a child is born, now they're born in hospitals. You got to make sure you got the nurses on stock, and the doctors, and just to make sure that the baby has everything, every benefit of making it. Same thing with an idea.
Exactly.
You have to give your ideas, your dreams, the benefit of everything you can to see it through. And at the beginning, how many times have you had this? I know I have, and I know the people who are going to watch it, they have an idea, oh, that's not going to work. And then you're watching TV, or you're at a Barnes and Noble, or you're on Amazon, and you see it.
Oh! Oh!
Right?
Yes!
Right?
Yes! Yes!
You and an idea is going to keep, it's in the ether, so it's going to keep bouncing.
Yep. Until somebody catches it.
Until somebody takes it and runs with it.
Exactly.
So, I tell people, that's why really we are one. Yeah. It's not you, it's not me. And that's, goes back to the comment I made earlier about there's enough money, resources, whatever for everybody.
And I was going to revisit, and I'm glad you said it again, because that's one of those internal conversations that people can be having, that there isn't enough,
Right.
And so, exactly. And so you get scared off the bat, and you begin to have self-limiting beliefs and thoughts from the beginning, because you're believing that there isn't enough, and if somebody's going to do or get, it's not going to be me, because there isn't enough in the supply in order for that to happen. So that is an internal conversation that we have to let go of in order to move forward and have any level of confidence or forward momentum, is that you have an ability to create your own economy. You have an ability to, think an inspired thought and take action on that thought. And as I said earlier, put your nose down and stop paying so much attention to what's going on with everybody else, and make a decision that this is what I'm going to do, because this is what I'm here for, and understand that there's room for everyone. So I love, thank you so much again, Alicia. She dropped off, but I'm so glad that I invited her, and I'm so glad that she accepted the invitation, because the interaction that we shared was absolutely phenomenal. And I know that people have gotten a lot out of that, and people will get a lot out of our conversation on the replay, because I'm going to share this all over the place. But if no one has any comments or anything that you want to say or share at this time, then I am going to shut this awesome blab down. I'm going to be doing other blabs. I need to get myself together and write some things down in terms of the blabs that I'm going to be offering. But I love this platform. It's absolutely phenomenal. And anytime I tell anyone who's in the online space, and my focus is online womenpreneurs, but if you have something that has a shareable link that you can share with your audience, you need to be on it. You need to be doing it. You need to jump out here and let your voice be heard. Let your business be heard. Tell people what it is that you are here to do. And as I said, again, I am Lisa Scott of Lisa Scott Coaching and Mentoring, and I guide online womenpreneurs to gain clarity in life and in business, assisting them to align their thoughts with their actions and desired outcomes. And the reason that I do that, there's a twofold reason. Number one, when I came to an understanding some years ago that I had the ability and the power to zoom in on any thought that no longer served me. And I did this by virtue of feeling, if something didn't feel right, I began to become aware that, I had the ability to zoom in on what was making me feel contrary to the way that I wanted to feel. And so I understood that I had the ability to zoom in on a thought. And if that thought did not serve me, I understood that I had the power to change that thought, because thoughts carry with them vibration. Thoughts are alive. Thoughts go out into the ether and plant seeds that the ethers are not judging whether that's right or wrong, good or bad. The ethers are just going to gravitate that magnetic attraction toward you based on what it is that you're thinking. And when I understood all of this, I began to change my thoughts and therefore change the course of my life. My marriage, I was able to shift and change, make positive changes within my marriage. I was able to actually manifest as I shared with you in the beginning, a different role in an organization where I didn't even have a degree. So by the masses and the world standards, I shouldn't have been standing in front of doctors and nurses teaching something called process improvement. But because I had the power of believing that I was going to get up and walk out of that department that I was in, the universe conspired and rose up to meet what it was that I was seeking to do. And so that is my why. My why is to assist other people. I became passionate about understanding and knowing that we have the power on the inside of ourselves to change our entire lives, to change our realities by virtue of changing a thought. And because I started in the online space in 2011, and just like any brand new business owner that doesn't know any better, I thought, I could just jump online and say, here I am, and the money would just start flowing in. And I realized, oops, that's not the way it is. That's not the way it goes. So I learned an awful lot about how to exist online, tools, tips, different systems and processes and all kinds of things to assist me to make my first dollar online. And when I came into that understanding, and Yolanda, we've been here for a minute, so you'll have to get the replay, but I thank you so much for joining. But, because I'd been online since 2011, I began to pick up and understand and hang around internet marketing gurus not gurus, I don't think anybody's necessarily a guru, but I hang around internet marketers, y'all, because they take the blinders off and they think about things in a very global way, and they're on the next thing that there is, and they're not scared to jump out there and do what needs to be done in order to get their name out, in order to, be able to market their services. And because of that, because I aligned my company at one point, I'm no longer aligned, but I learned, I'm hanging around internet marketers, and I've learned an awful lot from them. And because of that, I said my focus is twofold: online womenpreneurs, assisting them to gain clarity in life and in business. That second half has to do with the fact that you don't have to take as long as I did to understand some things. You don't have to take as long as I did to understand how to Facebook on purpose, which is a blab that I'm going to be doing very shortly, possibly tomorrow. You don't have to take as long as I did to understand how to attract a dollar. You don't have to take as long as I did to understand that you need to remain authentically you and find your voice and understand your story and your why, and understand how to share that online so that you can gravitate your ideal clients toward you. You don't have to take as long, because guess what? I did all of that. I've been online since 2011, so I did all of that. So if you want to understand, if you want to be mentored, if you want to be coached, hey, that's what I do. So just sharing at the end of this blab that this is Lisa Scott from Lisa Scott Coaching and Mentoring. I am a life and business coach, assisting guiding online womenpreneurs to gain clarity in life and in business, assisting online womenpreneurs to align their thoughts with their actions and their desired outcomes. You can do it. The focus of this particular blab was paying attention to your internal conversations for life and business transformation. Guys, I gave you some examples in the beginning, gave you examples throughout of how I assisted myself to shift internal conversations and cause transformation in my life and in my business. My girlfriend, my sister from another mister, Alicia Douglas, was here sharing her thoughts, and we learned a lot through that interaction and conversation. And you know, when we pay attention to our thoughts, when we become consciously aware, and what I shared earlier, and I gotta shut this down, and I keep bringing this back because it's so important. But Dr. Joseph Dispenza shared a statistic that I'm going to share one more time before leaving this blab, and that is, and Dr. Joseph Dispenza was a co-author or a personality, so to speak, in the book, The Secret. And he is a neuroscientist and chiropractor who healed himself, assisted himself to heal himself of a spinal injury without surgery. He talks about the fact that human beings process 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. We process 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. And out of those 60 to 70,000 thoughts, 90% of the thoughts that we think the very next day are the same exact 60 to 70,000 thoughts that we processed the day before. This is why we must pay attention to our internal conversations. Pay attention to whether or not what you are creating right now, is it live or is it Memorex? Am I continuing to think the same exact thoughts as I did the day before and therefore producing the same results? Is what I'm thinking today the reality of what I want to be thinking, or am I continuing to think out of habit and familiarity the same exact thoughts as the day before? Guys, this is Lisa Scott of Lisa Scott Coaching and Mentoring. You can visit me on my website at www.lisascott.org. I am so grateful to have been here with you guys. I think we've been here for over an hour. So my website is www.lisascott.org, and also visit me on my business page on Facebook, Lisa Scott Coaching and Mentoring. Thank you so much for visiting. For those of you who just stopped in, please press the replay when this is done. I think it's available fairly immediately. And I just want to thank you guys for being here with me, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll be back sometime soon, guys. Have a great day. I appreciate you. Bye.